Hi, welcome to Strangers with Kittens. I really hope you don't hear the jackhammers in the background because they're jackhammering my street right now. If you do, I apologize. It's life. Um, Today, I'm talking about music. I feel like music is such a big part of growing up Gen X. It was such a part of our lives in a way that I don't feel was with any other generation. It was the dawn of MTV. It was Columbia House and 12 CDs or cassettes for a penny, concerts, Live Aid, Do They Know It's Christmas Time? All these pivotal Gen X moments that were wrapped up in music. I feel like it defined us in so many ways in movies, in all of the theme songs of the shows that we watched, Family Ties and I still sing the theme song from Love, Sydney, which was a short-lived Tony Randall sitcom that many people won't remember, but there you go. It pops into my head and I sing it to myself fairly regularly. Music was just such an integral part of our lives. I feel like streaming services and access to basically all the music in the world has actually had a detrimental effect on me and my music listening. I don't know about you guys, but I I don't know. I guess it's overwhelm. When I have access to everything, I listen to nothing. I don't know what to tell Alexa to play. I don't know what to stream on my phone. I like listening to radio stations. I listen to WFUV 90.7, Fordham University station most of the time, or sometimes I can get in the Peak radio station, which I think is 107.1 out of Westchester, New York, I think. I like DJs. I like not knowing what comes next. I mean, I loved making mixtapes, but those were special. And a lot of time and effort went into making a mixtape. And if you were making it for somebody else, there was all this meaning behind it. And having to make myself a mixtape every time I want to listen to music is a real drag, in my opinion. And it takes the magic away from not knowing what's going to come next and being so happy when you hear it. I mean, even a 5 CD disc changer on shuffle is better than a Spotify playlist, in my opinion. Um, I don't know how we get back to that. I know CDs are a thing of the past, and I don't even know where you would buy a CD, a 5 CD disc player these days. Mine just died eventually after decades of use, and I threw it out. If it hadn't, I wouldn't have. But I miss the days of the 5 CD disc changer and shuffle mode and our choice of a multitude of really good radio stations. Music was such a huge part of our lives, and people introducing you to an artist or to a song was such a powerful connection and would sort of kick off a hinge moment in your life where suddenly now you were totally into alternative. And then you went to this concert and you met these people and you traded bootlegs and it's just different now. And so I wanted to talk to someone who is an expert in the field. He is a composer for films. He is a musician. He teaches at the Manhattan School of Music and at NYU. He's an incredibly talented, incredibly smart, really great person. And I'm so excited to have him here. You should definitely check him out on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Please welcome my friend, Chris Hajian. Strangers with Kittens, Gen X stories from the least parented generation. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Eileen. How are you?
Good. How you doing? It's so good to see you.
I'm so happy to be here, a part of your podcast.
You look all cozy on this freezing December
Yes.
day.
Even though I'm inside, I don't like to be cold, so I'm always bundled up. So
Yeah, I've been outside, so yeah,
yeah.
it's good that you're bundled up. So I feel like, I mean, there's always so much to talk about when I talk to you, but I was thinking about concerts
Oh,
and, I was just thinking you're a composer, you're a musician, and I was thinking about musical themes,
well,
but I was just thinking about how big and important music was growing up for us, right? And how, I mean, like, mail away like Columbia House tapes and
Yes.
CDs, remember
I
that?
mean, yeah, and then to totally date myself, and I'll throw you in there a little bit. I mean, just getting records when they were released. I used to go to Corvettes. You remember Corvettes?
Yes, I remember
Like,
Corvettes.
Corvettes had I mean, I used to go to obviously Sam Goody and then Tower
Mhm.
Electric.
Tower, then
The
Tower Records, and
the
yeah.
concept of going to Corvettes when the, record was released, and I was so excited to go in there, and they had a great record department. That was a big part of it, but you're 100% right. I don't know what my life would be like without hearing incredible live music and of all sorts of genres and types. And it was a huge part of my upbringing, especially being in a city like New York and or the nearby states. What it has to offer here, the
Right.
eclecticism is unbelievable.
Now, I know your dad was a musician. Did
Yeah.
he expose you to music?
Totally. I mean, I started playing trumpet at 5 because I wanted to be like my dad. He
Mhm.
listened to jazz, bebop, also Louis Armstrong, big bands, all that kind of stuff, and classical music. So I was 5, 6 years old listening to Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Igor Stravinsky, Beethoven, Ravel. I mean, so
Wow.
yeah, no, I mean, there is no better early music education than someone in your family just playing that stuff at an age where most children don't get to hear that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, it really gets in the fiber of your being. I grew up on
Yeah,
nothing but my dad was from Jersey City next door to Hoboken, so
right.
the chairman of the board was the only thing
Yeah.
that my dad would allow in his car, and when he was home, every Frank Sinatra, I mean, I think I know every recording, live, studio, whatever, and my mom listened to Irish music, basically the Clancy
Nice.
Brothers, and that was it, like, from when I was young, and that, other than Sesame Street, was all the music that I knew.
Yeah. And then, of course, whatever pop music and stuff was going on. Do you know, I have to send it to you. There is a recording of Danny Boy that the jazz piano player Keith Jarrett recorded live. Do you know that recording?
I don't.
You will sob. It's like a beautiful tune and been done so
Yeah.
many ways. And when I say it's a jazz interpretation, it is by no means like this esoteric, heady version. It is the most beautiful, pure version, one of the most. I don't want to say the most. I will share it with you because the touch that he had on the piano is just like no one else. So I'll send that to you.
Wow, yeah, I would love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Thank you. Um it's
Are there
funny because that's my feeling of Irish music is, yes, there are the pub songs and the things that kind of get you going, but in my house, mostly it was really sad. Like a lot of, this was also like the height of the
right,
troubles in Northern Ireland, and
right.
we were
Yeah,
very much connected to that. And to me, Frank Sinatra was the fun music,
right.
and the Irish music came out, and it was like, oof.
No, I know. I then listen, and if you wanna go by that stereotype, which is a little unfair, it's like, an Irish police officer gets killed and they play the bagpipes at the funeral. There's a beauty in that too, I think.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
yeah, but I understand how, like, people can hear that stuff sometimes and go like, "Oh god."
It's,
But
yeah, it's sad, but it leans so much into it that it made it okay to be sad and to grieve and to
yeah,
feel it, you know?
yeah. But then if you think about film scores, which of course I always do, you think about, like, the bagpipes in Braveheart and some of these scores where, like, that sound was just
Yeah, so
absolutely
rousing
huge
and
part of defining what the narrative was, so, yeah,
yes. Yeah,
yeah.
so
I always
rich.
wonder though, and then, like, as far as, like, you've seen a lot of bands and performers live. Are there 1 or 2 that you never saw that you wish you did live or in person
That
or
I wish I did. It's funny, I don't feel like maybe The Who. I never
Mm,
saw them,
that
and
would've been a great show. Yeah, I know what
yeah,
you
I
mean.
saw, Tommy, the newest incarnation of Tommy
Me too.
last year. Did you? I thought it
Yeah,
was amazing.
me too. I thought what Des McAnuff did with the screens and the lighting, I
Oh
just
my
thought it was
gosh.
unbelievably inventive.
I know. And that made me I wasn't really that into him when I was young. There were a couple of songs, but I don't know, it wasn't really my genre when I was growing
Yeah,
up, but after seeing that musical, I was like, "Wow, I would
yeah,
have liked to have seen Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey, like,
sure.
really at the height of their
Yeah.
careers," you know? Um, okay, first concert.
My first concert?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, I'll rule out some of the probably was all it's classical stuff when I was really young. But let me
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
no,
Tell
no,
me
no,
that
I'm
first and
well,
then
like it was a Philharmonic. My dad took me and
that's
the
amazing.
Nutcracker, all that beautiful stuff. But I would say in the pop arena, first concert I heard was Earth, Wind and Fire.
How
Not
fun.
bad, right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I loved in the '70s, I loved my early I tended to go towards the more R&B music, Stevie Wonder, the Earth, Wind& and
Yeah.
Fire, the Marvin Gaye, like, I was in that was my first foray because I think because I had a love for jazz and hearing those harmonies and stuff, so that's why I
Yes.
went first, and for me, I heard that stuff earlier on, and then I got into more standard rock and roll way later because I was this geeky kid who liked jazz and classical, but then that was my entree, and then later on, I started to develop a love, obviously Beatles and Stones and Led Zeppelin and Fleetwood Mac, all that stuff I got to like, but kinda much later than most people.
Yeah. And I could
Yeah.
imagine that feeling kind of lightweight to you after
You know,
your
that's
upbringing.
funny you say that. I didn't I'm not a snob like that, but I know what you mean. I mean, there is some forms of pop music that just harmonically that doesn't interest me, right? But that's
Mhm.
just me. That's
Right,
just
too
where my head is at.
repetitive or too yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just like, okay, what but that doesn't mean it can't move other people and it all needs to be out there. But I think we're all on some level, whatever those early sparks or glimmers are of music is what we take with us. And yeah, I know a lot of people that things, I would never think that wouldn't ever be interesting. They go, like, yeah, not into it. I'm like, okay, wow. You know, so it's interesting, right? So
Yeah,
I
going back to the first music, growing up on Irish music and then hearing, the band Big Country and
yeah,
the
sure.
song Big Country, do you remember that
Yeah,
song? That was
totally.
like, oh my god, like, I felt like
Yeah.
it jabbed me on my bones, you know what I
Yes.
mean? "Oh my
Yes.
gosh, this is
Yeah.
amazing,"
Like, how do you
Or
know
like
me that well?
yeah, or U2, like, that was one of my first concert not the first, but one of my first concerts, and the roots of it really felt familiar, so it was easy to like them right away, you know?
Yeah. So the most incredible thing to me, there's many about music, but like it'll completely put you in a space of remembering where you were when you heard the song, certain situations. It will that memory burn is so intense and so beautiful in your life. And it can also be honestly for sad moments too, of course. But it can represent like, almost everyone will remember the song that was playing when they whatever had their first kiss or went to prom
Yes,
or whatever, or or something, whatever, rode their bike or whatever. It's incredible how music brands those moments.
crystallizes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a better word. Crystallizes, yeah.
Don't
Exact
I feel like music does that for me and smell does that for me. Like,
scent.
I'll get into an elevator and a woman will have a perfume on that a teacher had when I was in 2nd grade, and I'm like, "Oh my god," and it
Yes,
just, like, drops you into that moment.
yes. To this day, one of my favorite actual things is, fresh cut grass, when they mow the
Yeah.
grass. And obviously, I'm living in an urban jungle now, so I don't get too much of that here. But when I do think back fondly on my, like, childhood years, like, that was this, an aroma that it made me feel very safe. I don't know, just, taken care of, sort of. I don't know what it was, something
Aw.
beautiful about it, you know?
You know what I thought you were gonna say? I thought
What?
you were gonna say it brought you back to your first Mets game.
Well, yes, they no doubt there's a correlation between freshly manicured grass and lawn and a beautiful ballpark, so you're right,
Yeah.
though, yeah, so that is wild about that. I also think it's interesting how, peer pressure or influences of other, schoolmates or can kind of in a positive way, but also sometimes in a negative way, like, because I remember when I remember I was in 5th grade and they brought in a small dance troupe to do part of the Firebird, the ballet, The Firebird by
Mm,
Stravinsky, which is
mm.
stunning. And it's got this melody at the end of it that to this day is probably one of the most memory burn moments of life. I was so completely in awe of what music makes you feel. And it's gorgeous melody at the end. Anyway, this comes in, and I had already known that melody and that piece because my dad used to play the records, the LPs of it.
Mhm.
So we're in the yard after, and most of the children that age were like, "Oh, that sucked. That was 2 hours. What a bore." Anyway, they're expressing, and look, I kind of get it if you're that age. Well, I made the big mistake of saying, I think it was really beautiful. And that was the like, sadly, I had to deal with all the ramifications of people
Oh my
calling me
god.
names and terrible things based on the fact that I expressed some level of sensitivity or something.
Right,
And I'm like,
emotion.
"Oh god, why did I say that?" It's okay. I mean, I dealt with it, whatever, you're gonna deal with these things. But,
Right.
yeah, it is that is an interesting part of it too. Sometimes people maybe can't express something that they love for fear of being judged or being made fun of, and, I mean, that sucks. I hate that. People should be
Oh,
able I can't stand that. Yeah, so
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's what happens. And, that's why it's interesting when you think about the placement of songs in films, right? I mean, how incredibly memorable are some of those? I mean, whether it's Moon River as an older example, or, the film Almost Famous, where they use all these beautiful songs to kind of, tell
Yeah.
the narrative. I mean, boy, that's another powerful moment when you combine cinema and music, or in this case, songs.
Yeah, my
But,
daughter was just saying that, "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree" is just a song that, we've heard a million times, and
right,
so when the Christmas radio station is on and that plays, I'm gonna go and skip to something else, but I went to skip it when she was home for Thanksgiving, and she was like, "I love this song, it reminds me of the scene in Home Alone."
there you go.
And,
Right,
like, for her, that was probably maybe the first time she heard that song, I don't know,
right.
so
Isn't
yeah.
it isn't it wild how there can be like a comfort in music, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and certainly, going through hard times in life, what it can represent, it can allow you to cry, it can allow you to feel your feelings, it can bring you home into a safe place, and it can inspire you to kinda get out of a tough place depending on where you are, and certainly if you're a creator of music, my god, how many incredible pieces of music were born from terrible times in life and going through something, and, I mean, is there nothing better than to survive something terrible in life than to create something beautiful from it? That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
It's a lot of compost for the garden with that one.
Exactly, yeah, well said, exactly, so, yeah.
Um, well, my first concert, it depends on what the criteria is because the first concert I ever wanted to go to and went to was
Mhm.
Bruce Springsteen, Born in the
Wow,
USA tour at the
wow.
Meadowlands, which
Yeah,
is
totally. I went to one of those, he did a couple days there, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That
1984,
was
yep,
like 3.5, 4 hours or something, it
yep,
was crazy, yeah, yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah,
But when I was in, like, maybe 5th grade, my family went to Hershey Park and Rupert Holmes was playing at Hershey Park.
yeah,
So, I did see him when I was in
okay.
5th grade, but it was sort of like part of the park experience, you know?
That's a very vast different type of
I
art.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And what's the well, I don't know if I was gonna say I was gonna say first and worst, but I don't know if you
Oh, yeah, let me
have a worst.
there are probably some clunkers that I forgot about. I will tell you one of if you don't mind, I'll tell you one of the there's a lot of memorable ones, but I remember a friend of mine was, doing live sound at a club in Manhattan, and this is in the '80s, and he said to me, "What are you doing at midnight?" This is like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, "I don't nothing. I'm just here." He goes, "Get dressed and come down to the club." I said, "Why?" He says, "Prince is doing an invited 100-person set at this club." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll be there." So take a shower, and I was maybe between 15 and 20 feet away from him doing this set with it was under 100 people, and it was just incredible. Like, just to
Oh my
experience him
gosh.
at that so close and so intimate, and I felt like you're, like, one of the top luckiest people in the world to be a part of this, and it was just
Wow.
awesome. So that was, like, one that stood out because it was such a unique situation,
Now
you know?
because it was so small and because it was invited, what was the vibe like? Were people self-conscious or
No,
were
no, it's
people, like,
no,
rocking out?
that's a great question. I didn't find that. I found that people were even more just free, like, dancing. They were, like, in
Really?
yeah, and there's some people were, like, interacting with him on to some level because, he can be a little shy, but he was engaging with the audience more than I thought, and it just felt like you were in this person's living room, and he's just like, "I'm gonna play some tunes for you," and so it was pretty cool. It
Wow.
was I mean, it's beyond pretty cool. It was still one of the highlights of, live performances that I've experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a friend who worked for HBO. I guess they owned VH1 maybe back then, I don't know, but somehow she brought me to Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds Unplugged,
yeah,
VH1
that's so cool.
Unplugged, And I, had all his albums, was super into him at the time, and we were sitting up, in the mezzanine, and there were all these suits on the floor, and you would have thought they were listening to chamber music. Nobody was even tapping their foot, and my friend wasn't into them and didn't really know the music, but I was up there standing alone, like,
Wow,
standing in
that's
my
so
seat,
cool.
dancing and, like, mouthing the words to every song, and I saw one of the producers point up and say, "She needs to be down here."
Nice.
Because, as an artist, when you're
Totally.
getting nothing from the audience, it's,
No.
like, rough.
A bunch of stoic people in the front just, like, staring like mannequins.
Yeah, it feels like a rejection, and most people probably don't think of it like this, but it's a conversation. It's a two-way
Of course.
conversation. Even if you're not speaking,
Yeah, of
it's still a conversation, and
course.
when you're getting nothing back, I mean, all of us know what it's like to be in a conversation with someone that gives you one-word answers, right? And
Yes.
you're like,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
pulling teeth, and that's
yeah.
the way it starts to feel when you're on stage and you're not getting much back, and
Yes.
I felt so sorry for I mean, they did a great job, but I felt so sorry for them because it was
Yeah, no,
not what
you're
you were
right.
describing at all.
Billy Joel forever, they never sold the first 2 rows of any of his concerts, and he would bring people up from those seats. He's done that for years and years. You get those people that all of a sudden get a seat upgrade that are like the diehard fans that maybe
Totally,
can't
and
afford,
those are usually the people in the
and he would put
nosebleeds.
those people in the first 2 rows. I mean, that's so cool.
Amazing, and
Yeah.
so generous, but also just so
Yeah,
smart as an artist to get that
exactly.
to know you want that energy right there, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one, and, I told you about the, MTV Music Awards, right?
So
Video
yes,
Music Awards,
yes.
and the Rolling Stone I mean, there were so many amazing
Mhm.
performers that night, but the Rolling Stones were incredible, and they were practicing before by the way, they practiced more than any other band
Wow.
that day because we had to be there, I don't know, 8 hours before the show, 10 hours before the show, something
Yep,
like that, so we were just hanging out in Radio City,
yep.
and they went through their set over and over again, and
Wow,
Mick Jagger apologized to us for
wow.
having gone through it so many times, and I was like, "Well, you're Mick Jagger."
Friends that toured with him years ago in the horn section, and yeah, they everything about them were buttoned up, pros trying to, I mean, you have nothing but respect for that.
Yeah.
I would, it's interesting. I think just thinking on what you said, I think the bad experiences, the ones that let me down, were like really bad, obvious lip syncing situations.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been to a few. I don't remember specific, but I'm like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" Like, you can't, like, when it's that obvious or they're not really singing live, I guess the authenticity goes out the window for me, but,
yeah. I
you know.
think the only time I've ever seen anyone lip sync live is Madonna,
Yeah, well,
but
the dance, that's the reason.
yeah, with the dancing, and she was singing, she was just singing over her vocal
Yeah,
track,
yeah.
so it was okay, it's
Yeah, I think there was
understandable.
a certain era. I think a lot of that '80s, '90s, it lent also the way that music was produced. There was that whole, and then, I mean, obviously the Milli Vanilli scandal. I do think there was that era where, like, certain artists were getting really known because of their general persona. They might not be the greatest singers, so the live performance was this incredible thing of dance and singing. So when it's all that stuff, there has to be some level of, like, something's got to give a little, right? You can't be doing all that stuff on stage, jumping around like that, and expect to sing strongly. So that was a more of that era.
Right.
Like Janet Jackson too. Like,
Right,
I
I was
don't
just
think.
gonna say that, I saw Janet Jackson at the
Yeah,
Garden State Art Center, and I don't recall ever seeing her not like, it wasn't a messy lip sync, you know what I mean? Like, it all
yeah,
felt pretty seamless, but I'm sure there was some lip
yeah.
syncing involved.
Look, there were all kinds of tricks. Some of these bands did. Yeah, you do whatever. Like, I would say though, like, there were a few bands I saw live that I didn't necessarily listen to so much a part of my life, but like I went because a friend wanted me to go, or I went. And I remember Tom Petty, like, and I've always, like, respected Tom Petty. I don't listen to it a ton in my own life, but I saw him live once, and I had a whole new level of respect for what his music was like. I
Yeah,
was blown away about how I was like, "Wow, this is a really enjoyable concert." So that was, like, one
yeah,
example the other way,
yeah, yeah. He's had,
Yeah.
quite a few incarnations too. He had a
Yep.
band I years ago but not that many years ago, I heard this song and I'm like, "That's Tom Petty. How do I not know this song?" And I looked at the artist and it was like
Oh,
Mud Creek or Mud something,
I didn't know
and
that,
I
and
was
then
like, "Oh my god, whoever this is, they sound just like Tom Petty," and then I had to Google it because it was
wow,
uncanny, and it turned out, like, that was a band that he had before Tom Petty and the
cool.
Heartbreakers.
And then
Yeah, so I think
was he in the Traveling Wilburys? Was he what?
yes.
Right, right, so he seems to be very into collabs, that's cool.
Yeah, and really prolific, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So, yeah, that was one example, but yeah. So what about music and films? Okay, I know I mentioned a few, but are there 2 or 3 moments that you just go, like, every time you're like, you lose it or you go like, "Oh god, here it comes."
Well,
You know,
now
or
well, Rocky. I mean, Rocky is I
perfect,
still listen
good.
to the soundtrack.
What about, like,
Rocky?
Way We Were or any of those films? Like, any of those, like
Yeah, with vocals, yeah, The Way
yeah,
We
yeah.
Were. That song, I mean, that really just, like,
Mhm.
gets you in the heart, you know? Just vocally and her phrasing and God, it's just so incredible. There are a lot of, well, 80s songs, 80s, movies, like Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark,
Yeah.
If You Leave, and, Don't You Forget About Me from The Breakfast Club,
But, yeah,
and it just, like
you brought up an amazing genre, that John Hughes, that whole genre of all those films, right? Man, they use pop songs so well in those films.
yeah, but, like, cool new wave
Yeah,
bands that a lot of people didn't have access to. Like I had a boombox that I put tinfoil on the antenna to get in WLIR, which was the closest alternative rock station to New
sure,
Jersey. And it
sure.
like had to be angled a certain way and it came in better on rainy days than not
Yeah,
rainy
right,
days.
right, right.
So it was tough. And I'm sure there were many areas of the country that never heard that music until they saw a John Hughes movie.
You're right. And we've spoken about this, one of my all-time waterworks moments is the end of Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, right? So you have that incredible montage of what's they using that electronic band, I don't remember the name right now, in that scene where he's figuring out that this guy, Dell, has no
Yes.
home. So he goes back, that great acting performance by Candy, who's
Yes.
heartbreaking. And then they cut where he brings him to his house for Thanksgiving, and it's "Tung, tung, 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 every
Yes.
time you go." And
Yep.
they're walking with with the suitcase. It's just like,
I
wow,
know.
I think to use that song there was just so cool.
I know, and now when I hear that song, that's the scene that plays in my head.
Exactly. I have this joke with some of my friends in the industry. It's leveled off a little now, but there at one point was the biggest overuse of a song in montages and films, and it kept getting used over and over again, and it got to the point like, "Oh, here we go again." You ready?
Mhm.
Mr. Blue Sky.
Yes.
Okay, so there was like a 20-year era where that thing was licensed. Like think about how that would be used in a montage, like a Paul Rudd film. Like, okay, he gets dumped by the girlfriend. Now he's finally gonna get over it. He starts working out.
Uh-huh.
He's throwing his best. He's drinking smoothies, and you play that song, and but it works like gold every
It
time.
does. It really does, but what was so weird is it was so overused, like, I don't know, 25 years after it came out
I
or
know,
something.
I know. I
I'll
mean,
give you another one,
good.
Brown Eyed Girl.
Oh god, another totally. Yeah. No, but it is funny, like, and then listen, good for anyone that writes it to make the money on it, but
Right.
I think it does get to a point where you tell people enough of this because it's starting to lose its
Oh, it has for
yeah,
me. I mean, absolutely, like, I
yeah,
can't listen to it, and it's such a good song, but I can't listen to it anymore because
yeah,
it went past the point of no return for
yeah,
me.
exactly, so that is funny how when they get to that level, you're like, "Okay, now can we try
It
something."
has no meaning now, you know?
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
anything they're trying to evoke, it's lost. Do you have favorite soundtracks? Top 5?
Now, when you say soundtracks, do you mean, song soundtracks or score soundtracks? Well, if you wanna stay with songs, like
Yeah.
soundtracks, I mean, wow, let's see. I mean, okay, I mean, I'd put
Yeah, maybe
Almost
we need to
Famous
do
in.
both categories.
Almost Famous is I mean, that's a great soundtrack, right,
Yeah, that is
obviously.
a great
I
soundtrack.
mean, the Forrest Gump has an amazing soundtrack of all the songs that as he experiences as he
Through
goes
each era?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
another one as far as, that goes. Let me think what else from the song end. Um those are the ones that are coming to me now from just as far as, like, song soundtracks.
Yeah, it's funny, I don't think of Forrest Gump, and now I have to go back and
No.
revisit it.
You go back, this is super cool because you get all those eras and, like, it goes through all these different including, like
60s,
yeah, yeah,
70s,
totally. So
80s.
they're just really smartly put together.
Yeah.
That sticks out at me. Um, even some of those, like, hip hop films had some great stuff in there, right?
Yes.
Like,
Like
New Jack City,
Juice
like, you
and
want yeah, some of those had they're great. I mean, they really, really resonated.
yeah.
And, yeah, so that's what strikes me. As far as scores and instrumental scores, I have so many, it would be so hard to list, but, like, you know, American Beauty, Shawshank Redemption, all the Ennio Morricone stuff. I mean, there's just
Yes.
so many. Yeah, that
Yeah.
yeah.
You're making me wanna go back and revisit American Beauty too, not to see the film necessarily, because I
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
say it's ruined for me now.
Yes, I
I mean,
understand.
it was creepy to begin with,
It
creepier
was
than I
tricky, but
felt
it
like people pointed out, you know? It
well,
was,
here's the thing, right? As somebody who writes instrumental music, which is often not always, featured because it's, complimentary.
right.
That score, that little marimba quirky thing, dun, 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 it's created a sound, and I know because 'cause I've been asked to mimic that sound for 15 years after. Because yeah,
Wow.
and there's a couple of scores where like, they just become such a big part of the sound, and Inception's another one, like,
Huh.
some of these scores take on a bigger sense of notoriety. And so that one just it was a very, very different way to score a film. I always appreciated. Thomas Newman is one of my favorite of all times.
Mm,
He's beyond talented.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Williams.
Of course. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
amazing. And people don't
Ennio
know a lot about
Morricone.
Williams' background. He was a jazz piano player and he has this whole background in that world. Like if you he has a great score. Catch Me If You Can. That's a
Oh,
That's
yeah.
another amazing I mean, that's like a tour de force, like, composers look at that score and they go like, "Oh my god," they bow down, you're like
Wow.
yeah, so there's those and then yeah, but the great thing about film scoring is there's, like, every project is an opportunity to do something different and to not approach it the same way creatively, so that's, to me, a real joy and also terrifying sometimes.
It's probably better I can't remember it because I don't know if I'd wanna call him out, but I was watching a movie not long ago, like 3 weeks ago, and I was thinking of you because the music was so there was
Me?
no connection between
Oh,
the music and the movie, like, it was
mm.
so strange, the music choices behind these scenes that it was ruining the movie for me to the point where I shut it off.
You know that yeah, look, obviously a good score can enhance a film, a bad score can do some damage. It's tough to say good and bad, it's all subjective, but I understand what you're saying. That can work. Sometimes there's a wonderful juxtaposition that can come of that,
Yeah,
but, there's within that, there's levels too, like, and there's just some things you just go like, "Was that just an arbitrary pick?" Like, I always feel like it can be a really bold choice, but it's still gotta be rooted in something, like, that I get. It's not just, "Oh, just put something different." Like, that's not
right, energetically, it's gotta kinda
yeah,
match
right,
what's
right.
going on. If you're,
Exactly.
like, plunking on
Yeah.
piano keys in a funny way while someone is, like, I don't know, hiding from a killer or something,
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
not gonna work, you know?
There's all different ways to approach it. I do always applaud people for trying some things that are different, but yes,
Yeah.
there's a fine line there, absolutely, yeah.
It must be have you ever played a score to one movie while watching scenes from another?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's a great question that you asked that. I mean, a lot of that is how we get a film to begin with. Before I work on a score, they put temp music in a film, and temp
Oh.
music is exactly that. They'll take music from another film and go, "Oh, this is the general vibe. We like this," and
Oh, okay.
it's a very perilous thing for a composer because they hold on to that. It becomes like Stockholm syndrome. They hold on to that
Yeah.
score because they're familiar with it and it works. And for some directors, not all, they cannot separate that scene from that music. It's become branded. So then they'll say to a composer, "Just give me that in your own version of it." But and then we're like, "Well, hold on, we got a lot else to offer here,"
Right.
and so that can be really, really challenging. And
Yeah.
I always try to say to them, "Don't you think your film requires something completely original?" You know,
Yeah.
I do my best, but some of them are just they're gonna hold on to that because it just becomes a thing. That's it. It works.
Is it my imagination or has some movie music been recycled for other
Oh,
movies?
no, not your imagination. Relicense. A great example is Requiem for a Dream that has a phenomenal score by Clint Mansell. There's that very, very, building string thing. Da da, da 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 da,
Wait,
da 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 da
don't
da
don't
da da.
don't sing it because you're gonna bring me back to that movie.
Okay, 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 I don't
I've
wanna
tried
traumatize
very
you.
hard to forget it.
Okay, sorry, okay. But anyway, it
I
was an
still have
incredible.
PTSD from that.
Got it, got it. So I won't sing it. We'll pretend that didn't happen. But there's this he has this big building theme, and that's a great example of how it's been, it's been licensed to other things. I mean, they won't do that with, like, Star Wars because that's so ridiculous because it's so iconic to that franchise, but absolutely, people will license a piece of music.
I feel like I know what you're saying about Star Wars, but I swear I feel like there's a piece of music from something really big, like Saving Private Ryan or some I don't know, not Titanic, but something big like that,
That
that
has
was
that
then
similar,
used
yeah.
for something else big.
Maybe, or maybe it's just an incredibly very good
Close.
version of almost that same thing. I mean,
Yeah, maybe the director was like, "Just do that, but in your
no,
own
yeah, I
way."
mean, unfortunately, that does happen a lot, and yet, I mean, part of the skills as a film composer is, well, how do I give him that sound? It's not always the most original thing, and it's not always, I don't think, the best choice, but, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with you. If something is too close to something else, it's funny, not to go back to traumatize you, but Requiem of a Dream, they were talking to, the director, and he asked, Aronofsky, and they were, like, asking him, like, "What do you think when you've heard that music from your film and now it's used in these other things?" And he goes, "Look, I'm thrilled for the composer because he's making money and it's an incredible piece of music." He goes, "But frankly, it's tough because usually when you come into a film, you're experiencing something new, right? You don't know anything about what you're getting." He says, "And now people that watch that film now, like, oh, that music, like, like, lots of them have heard that piece of music. It doesn't resonate the same way with the audience, which is very different, you know?"
Yeah, and they may have another association with it.
Exactly. Exactly, yeah, so,
That's
anyway, so,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's true. It's like you're happy for the composer and they need to make a living, but it's such an emotional connection that's made. It's why we hate hearing songs from our youth used in, like, arthritis medicine commercials or whatever, you know? It's like, oh, that hurts.
And you go like, "Really, that one?" Okay, you
Yeah.
get I know. It's funny, people think that the artists always have control of that. They don't necessarily. People think, what is Peter Gabriel, who I love. There was something of a Peter Gabriel song, like, "Oh god." But then you realize that they don't always control the masters. You don't know how that deal was cut. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like Peter Gabriel's like, "Oh, let me make 100 grand." It doesn't necessarily mean they want it. Now, some artists get to a point where they can have some say, but not all of them do.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so it's not always, it's just, when you see that, don't sometimes people throw a lot of shade on the artist. They think they're selling out, and but you remember what Springsteen did with, was it Reagan that wanted to use?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so he had enough clout, or must have had the control where he said you can't use that. I mean, that whole thing is nuts. Not to get into a political rant, but like people taking these songs and using them like
I know.
nuts.
But I will say that, Olivia Rodrigo and Sabrina Carpenter have spoken out and said, "Stop using my music." Now, I don't know what the law is on that.
Yeah, that gets really murky. I mean, you can
Right,
try, you can try. I mean, sometimes it's just the nuisance of it. They don't wanna deal with the bad press, like, "Screw I won't use the song." Well, you
right.
remember, like, what did Clinton use?
Oh,
Don't
"Don't stop
stop,
thinking about
right, right,
tomorrow."
so that was, like, a big part. But it's funny, there's a great story, the composer that wrote the score to Remember the Titans, you ever see that film?
Many, many
Maybe,
years
okay.
ago,
It's
yeah.
this incredible, rousing orchestral score. It's an amazing score. When Obama was running, he tells this great story, like, he was this home run night, and his friend calls up. He goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm just working on some music." He goes, "Put on, put on the news, put on CNN. Like, Obama is blasting your score to Remember the Titans like it's at a Kiss concert."
Oh my
He's
gosh!
like, "What?" And he put it on. It was like this arousing music. He was like, so, he had no idea until,
And
like,
what was he at, like, a rally?
yeah, it's one of his big rallies towards the very close to the end of, and like this
Oh,
incredible score is
wow.
coming out there. It was, a huge part of like recognizing that moment.
Wow. And I
Yeah, so
wonder what the, well, the rights, the laws around it playing an artist's music at a public function has there are rules to that, right? And they're
Some, yes.
yeah.
I think a lot more when it's an artist who's a singer and there's lyrics involved.
Oh,
I think
right.
when it's instrumental music, it's a little bit different.
Public
It's a different
domain kind
application.
of. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, I know you're working on a score right now for a new
Yes.
Shirley MacLaine movie.
Thank you for asking, Eileen.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm really, really excited about this film. It was a tremendous opportunity. It's a film called People Not Places, and it's Shirley MacLaine and Stephen Dorff are the main actors, the leads. It's very much mirrored some stuff I went through in my life, so it's an incredibly personal experience for me. And Shirley is like a force of nature. She's 90 years old in this film. I got to visit her on set in Atlantic City, and it's incredible when you be up front. It's incredible just to be with somebody kinda so iconic and has such a history. She was an amazing woman. I could not believe her spirit and her energy at 90. But it's a beautiful film about a woman at that age who's living in an assisted living facility. Obviously, her husband is not with her anymore, and her son is kind of checked out. You know, he visits her, but he's kind of a little resentful of it. She makes these beautiful friends in her community. Mercedes Ruehl is also in the film.
Oh,
She
wow.
makes these friends and, you know, she's a lovely soul, but, like, really lacking a connection to her son. It's kinda like the metaphor of life that you can meet someone at any time in your life, even if it's for 3 months or a month or a weekend, and they can just have a profound effect on your life. And they form this relationship where both of them get something so needed by the other person, and their lives are enhanced and they go through a really interesting journey too. It's not all fun and games. There's some incredibly inspiring moments, but some really tough stuff comes out. But at the end of the day, it's this incredibly satisfying film with a beautiful screenplay, acted well, directed well, and I hope my score honors it in the way it
Oh.
needs to be. Yeah,
Well, I've heard some little snippets on social media, and they're absolutely beautiful, so I
thank you. Oh,
cannot wait to
yeah,
see the
I
film
appreciate.
and hear your score.
Well, thank you for asking about it, and I appreciate
No,
that. Yeah.
absolutely. Do you have any idea what the release date might be?
No, I know that I like, you know, it's so fun. Everyone always asks me that, and like, you
Well,
know,
we wanna
so
hear
fun.
it.
And I always say, "How long is a piece of string?" You know, like,
Yeah,
no. I mean, they're finishing it now. They're mixing now. I'm hopeful that at sometime in the next 6 months or, you know, during the early part of the next year.
yeah. So it's done is it do it's done shooting
Yeah,
now?
they're mixing right now, and in fact, I'm still doing when I'm done with this, I'm gonna be doing a little tweak on something, so it there's always something else to do. They're tweaking the edit, so I gotta relook at it. Oh, and one other beautiful thing just to share
Yeah,
is, you know, Olivia is a singer-songwriter, my daughter.
yeah.
The director asked to hear a bunch of her songs, so Olivia sent a playlist of a bunch of her songs, and Brad, the director, immediately said, this song, Saturn, which is a song Olivia wrote when she was 15, by the way. She's 22
Wow.
now. Whereas, like, I think it'll be great in this sequence in the film. And it was like, I was like, wow, it's interesting you picked that one. At first, I didn't necessarily think that would be the one, but like, you know, obviously, you know, directors have a really good vision and idea of how that works. We start looking at it. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And they love it. So then what happened was it was such a complex sequence that the song had to be kind of arranged and cut so the vocals fit in and around this very pivotal turning point of the film. So, I mean, just to say, like, I'm absolutely an emotional father now to a daughter who's musical and brilliant.
Oh,
And I was working on her arrangement and doing a little bit of what I do. And I'm like, you know, life is pretty good right now. Like, I'm working on a film where my score is on and my daughter's song is getting recognized and is beautiful, and I'm working on her music, and
wow.
just so there's so much about this film that is so positive in my life.
You know, you think about things that you pass down to your kids or my mom died before I had kids, and everyone in my family has light eyes, but my mom had, like, cornflower blue eyes.
Interesting.
Just different than mine, different that just more blue,
Right.
not gray or green mixed in, but just blue, and my daughter has her eyes,
Oh, wow.
and it's wild to see, right? But you see you think of things like that when you think of what you pass down to your children, but
Yeah.
as you're telling me about Olivia's song, I'm thinking of your dad,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, w
passing this gift
yeah.
to you
Oh,
and through you to
that's so
Olivia.
beautiful, Eileen. Thank you for saying it because and what I love about that, yeah, you're right. That's 3 generations now, right? And what I love about that is each of us found our own path within music, right? Like, look, I started playing trumpet, but then I realized composition was more my thing. So my dad played trumpet. I started doing composing, mostly instrumental film scores. And Olivia is squarely in the singer-songwriter world. Not that she can't do other stuff, but each of us have made our own mark and found our own voice within this beautiful thing of creating music. So
And I love that it's like you're taking it, doing your own thing with it. There's never any measuring yourself
right.
against the other person because it's your own thing.
Yeah, and when you see this sequence of Olivia's song, her song is called Saturn. When you see how this works in this montage, it's really gonna be pretty interesting. I'm excited to see
Wow.
how it affects you emotionally.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, so good.
Oh, I'm so excited. Lot to look forward to in the new year.
Yes. Well, we always should do that. It's not all life is not always easy and there's challenges, but I think looking forward and with some sense of like we do what we do. We have to
Yeah.
persevering on,
And speaking of what you do,
Okay.
I want to take this opportunity to thank you because Chris has written and given us the most just fantastic new score. Or score, theme song, theme
Yeah,
music.
theme score
I don't
and
know what
some
you call
little
it for a podcast.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what the terminology
Theme
is.
and some
Theme.
underscore, little underscore. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm unveiling it now. You're going to hear it for the
Oh, I'm
first
so
time
you're
as
doing
we
this gonna make
as we close out the show. I am so grateful to you. I'm so excited about it and I love that everybody's going to get to hear your amazing music.
well, that's so ki I love doing it, and, like, part of my journey in life as a musician composer is just always supporting our friends and what they do. So I had a blast, and I'm not gonna spill all the beans on the style, let people just hear it, I guess, right? But
Yeah.
I love how you kinda knew the sound you wanted, and it was just really fun to do, and I think it's gonna hopefully pop. People are gonna be like, "Oh, cool. Yeah,
It
I'm down with
absolutely
this."
pops.
Yeah, yeah. So that's great.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to do.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with us and your insight. And now your music forever because this is the new theme song.
Thank you, Eileen. Let's take it.
Okay.
Bye.
If you like our show, please rate, review, and share on social media. Strangers with Kittens is taped before a live audience of dogs.